We have heard in 2 weeks the shelves will be empty. In 4 weeks the shelves will be empty. In 6 weeks the shelves will be empty. Okay, so what do you do when you have a month to prepare? Let's talk about that today. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sutton's Days. If you're new here, my name is Lisa. We are all about pantry preparedness. And this tariff thing is just, it's got us all kind of concerned, worried, on the edge of our seats. What's going to happen? Which way is it going to go? Who knows, right? But I did some research and I'll have links down below in the description box also. So if you're watching it on your TV, you might want to grab your phone or your laptop. But uh, I'll have some links of where I got some of this information from so that you can look and see for yourself too. But not only are we going to talk about timelines and what foods are most likely to spike first, right? But then we're going to prioritize things that you should be looking at for your pantry for stocking up. Small budget strategies if you have a small budget, which, hey, we all do. And just a quick 5-week stock up plan so that we can all have that little bit of security of getting a better price and not being too impacted by what's coming down the pike. What I wanted to provide was kind of a focused plan, okay, for the next 5 weeks, which would put us into mid-June. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that's already. To shore up our pantries, right, against any looming tariff driven price hikes because things are going to go up. They're already going up. I keep hearing a random person go, prices are going lower. I'm glad they are where you are because they're not doing it here. So if they are, hey, stock up. If they're not, let's plan on how you can best stock up. So the timeline and the scope. April 2nd, 2025, the U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on most imports from Canada and Mexico, okay? Including produce, cereals, legumes, and maple products. June 1st, 2025, postal imports from China will face up to 120% ad valorem or flat duty per item. Holy Hannah. A huge jump from the current 90%, right? $75 level, according to the Trade Compliance Resource Hub. So let me go over that again because even when I say it, I go, will you repeat that? Postal imports from China face up to 120% ad valorem or a flat duty per item, a huge jump from the current 90% slash $75 level, according to the Trade Compliance Resource Hub. Again, that link will be listed down below. Throughout April and May, we've seen and we're seeing businesses and consumers are stockpiling in anticipation of price increases. So a lot of the bigger businesses that knew that this was coming down, and I'm talking big businesses, right? Not your mom and pops. Those are the ones that are going to hurt the worst first. But the really big businesses that saw this coming down the pike and are taking DC's, word, stocked up on some stuff. Does that mean that the prices aren't going to go up? No, it doesn't, because they are most likely going to charge the higher price once it's implemented in order to build that buffer for when they have to order it again. So they're going to have to pay, and we're going to have to pay. We're all going to have to pay. Okay, so that's just the way it works. So that's kind of the timeline and the scope of it. Everyone is going to get impacted by what's coming on. So the foods that are most likely to spike, this is what we're going to chat about. And you may have noticed I'm not around a whole lot lately. And it's because I'm pulling information from all these different sources, trying to get a grip on what's going on and which way to direct you guys, And okay, this is as close as I can get. So we're going to look at the foods that are right now most likely to spike according to what I've been reading. So the first thing is seafood. So shrimp, fish fillets, that kind of thing. 75% imported from Canada and Mexico. Tariffs add directly to the retail prices. Yeah. Coffee and cocoa. That's no joke. This is no joke. I was reading an article where Hershey is trying to meet with the people in DC because they are going to be so significantly impacted by this. So, for the first small part of the year that this kicks in, which is the second quarter, they're looking at, I think it said $20 million extra that they're going to be having to spend due to the tariffs. But by the end of the year, they're looking at over $200 million extra in expenditures to bring in the same amount of product. So this is going to impact huge. They are trying to get an exemption when it comes to chocolate. We'll see. Uh, so coffee and cocoa, those are definitely imported a lot. Okay. So, well, you can buy, you know, locally grown coffee. I live in Michigan. We don't locally grow coffee. So, yeah, stock up a little bit. Okay, number 3, maple syrup and Canadian honey. So obviously, our neighbors to the north, tariffed at 25%. Okay, shelf stable sweeteners will jump. They're gonna jump. That's just a fact of life. So if you are particularly fond of maple syrup and honey that ends up coming from Canada, you want to take a look at stocking up on some of those or locally sourcing them. And that I know for a lot of people, that's a little harder to do than others. Okay, number 4, cereals and grains. Certain breakfast cereals or specialty rice. That's what you want to keep an eye on. Many blends and packaged goods imported or containing imported ingredients. So the fact is that none of this is all made here. It never was. So we want to pay attention to what you're eating of this stuff and where it's coming from and stock up on it if you can. Okay. Cereals and grains. The other one is nuts. Now, I mentioned this after Helene went through the Carolinas and Georgia and all that, that storm in particular took out generations of pecan trees. Okay. So we were already going to be impacted by that. But almonds, walnuts, pistachios, right? These are a high value import category that are going to be facing steeper prices. How high? I don't know. They don't know. Nobody knows. There's so many question marks with this that, it's making all of us kind of just tighten up and, okay, we need to take a deep breath and just figure out the little bit, the little bit that we can stock up on, you're good. Now it's time to talk about some pantry priorities. You want to lock in your shelf stable staples. Okay. So like your rice and your dried grains, white rice, brown rice, bulgur, oats, that kind of thing. Now, I've said it before, brown rice, recommendations are that because of natural oils, it does not it's not long-term shelf stable. You're looking at 6 months or so, okay? But your white rice, pardon me, and your bulgur and your oats, those store for a really long time. So get stocked up. Pasta, especially imported varieties. Now, I'm not, a huge pasta person. I used to love it. I can't tolerate it anymore. But if you are and you're into the really, special ones, then you're going to want to stock up on some because that price is going to get stupid. So your all-purpose flour, your bread flour, milling your own will save you a ton of money. I'm telling you right now. Okay. Yes, you have the investment of the mill, but yeah, it will save you a ton of money and you get a better product, a much better product. Sugar and salt, both granulated sugar and kosher salt. So these are things that you're going to want to keep an eye on because they are imported. And if you are particular about GMO, non-GMO, that kind of thing, no, there's no judgment from me, okay? Because I use all kinds of sugar. Uh, Beet sugar, we produce a ton of that here in Michigan, and I know other states do too. Yes, it's genetically modified. Pick your battles, people. Powdered milk or shelf stable milk, you want to look for the domestic brands, okay? Because not everything is created here. And because a lot of these, again, rely on nuts, you want to pay attention to what that's going to do to those also. So not your everyday dairy because, those cows aren't going anywhere, but the powdered milk and the shelf-stable milk. Focus on where they're coming from so that you can make a better decision about the prices. Next one is canned and jarred goods. So whether or not you're a home canner, at some point, I'm certain you're supplementing with store-bought, commercially canned fruits and vegetables and stuff. So you want to take this into account. Tomatoes and tomato paste. Beat tariff pushed fresh price surges by grabbing those. Okay. Canned vegetables, corn, peas, green beans. Yeah, we don't grow it all here, my friends. Okay. Canned fruits like peaches and pears and whatnot in light syrup. Definitely you're gonna want to grab some of those while you can. Shelf stable proteins. So tuna is one of those weird ones that you got to watch. There's a lot of different tunas out there, but if you watch the brand origin, okay, where it's where it's packed, I'm sorry, in the US, that's what you want to look for. So it's going to take some label reading, maybe a little bit of googling, but you can get tuna that is packed in the US. And I mean, the Pacific Northwest is just crazy flush in tuna. So I don't think they can feed the whole country and the price might still go up, but demand, supply, all that fun stuff. But if you look for the tuna that is packed in the US, you're automatically better off. Um, your canned chicken or your Spam, yep, those are going to go up. Okay, so tariff sensitive treats are the next thing. Because what's life without a little treat here and there? Okay, so the treats are considered coffee, whether it's ground, whole bean, or instant. Coffee comes from someplace else. 99% of the coffee comes from someplace else. Okay, so coffee up, chocolate and cocoa powder, chocolate chips, candy bars, all of that fun stuff where there's chocolate in it. Okay, that's going to go up. Maple syrup, yep. Switch to domestic or honey for sweetening if you're getting domestic honey. So again, just, you're going to have to read labels and find out the origin, the country of origin for it. We're going to look a little bit at some small budget strategies because I don't know about you, but yeah, funds are getting a little snug. Okay. So you want to look for your in-store brands, buy those. So we're going to use this one, for example, Great Value or Select Signature, etc. Are often domestic and tariff immune, according to the U.S. Sun. That's a good thing to know. And I know a whole bunch of you are like, Great Value is GMOs. Pick your battles. Pick your battles, okay? Number 2, warehouse clubs, Costco, Sam's Club, BJ's, whatever the case may be. Split a 10-pound or 20-pound bag of rice with a neighbor. You both get 10 pounds. Win, and you're getting a good price, okay? Look at that kind of stuff where you can either buy it yourself in bulk or you can buy in bulk and split it with a friend or two. That really is helpful, and that way you save a little bit of money. Your coupons and your cash back, definitely. Look for those, the apps for the different stores or the apps like Flash Food, whatever it's called. Where you get deals. Keep an eye on those. Stack those digital coupons on rice, pasta, flour. That can shave 15 to 20% off of your bill. Yeah. Rotate what you stock. You guys, I say it all the time. It's not a set it and forget it. You don't buy it, stick it up there, and then pat yourself on the back and stare at it for 20 years. That's not the way it works. Okay. You need to stock what you eat what you stock, rotate through it so that every time you do have to buy it, you're backfilling so that no matter what's going on, you always will be eating at a cheaper price than the price of that day. So if I bought it yesterday, it's cheaper than it is today, which means if I eat it today, I'm eating for less. And when I replenish it today and I eat it tomorrow, I'm still getting it at a better price than I would be paying for tomorrow. I don't know how else to explain that. So if you have a better way, let me know in the comment section. It's really important to take this seriously. It really is. Budgets are so tight. People are being laid off all across the country. Um, it's it's gonna get ugly if we don't. Okay, so stock up what you can. And to that effect, I want to say don't panic. Okay, do not panic because you're going to impact everybody if you do that. You want to look at how can you stock up a month's worth of food while the prices are cheaper. And you can do it on a budget too. So we're going to look at a quick 5-week stock up checklist, okay? And again, these are if you consume them today. I do not believe in buying for the sole purpose of bartering. I think it's foolish, okay? So you're checking these off your list if they are things that you consume today. Let's look at these. So 20-pound bag of rice. Cool. 10-pound bag of flour. Don't forget your yeast, unless you're really into sourdough, okay? A 10-pound bag of sugar, plus a 5-pound bag of salt, 10 pounds of pasta, pick an assortment. I mean, that's literally 10 boxes, okay? 10 cans each of tomatoes, mixed vegetable, and fruit. It's that easy. Pick 10 cans, okay? 10 cans of protein. Look at your tuna, look at your chicken, look at your Spam. Keystone, I don't know. I don't know what their origin is. If I find it, I'll put it down below. But Keystone has pork and beef also if you're not a home canner. If you are a home canner, go snag up those manager specials, my friends, and get that stuff stuck in jars. Super important, okay? 2 to 3 gallons of oil. Now, the the thing is, we're going to be importing, we do import olive oil from Greece and whatnot. And those prices have been going up. I've noticed it. Okay. And that's primarily what we use is olive oil. If you can and are willing to switch it over to something like canola oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oil. I know they're not nearly as healthy. I get it. But it's an option. Okay. So those prices are going to be significantly lower than olive oil. Coffee. The recommendation is 2 pounds. Stock up an extra 2 pounds of coffee. That's like not even a week's worth of coffee around these places. So I'm going to have to start. Luckily, it's warming up. I'll drink more water. But you want to stock up on at least 2 pounds of coffee, even if it's instant. Highly recommending having some backup instant. Okay. And then look at getting a liter or a quart, whatever the case may be, of maple syrup or 3 pounds of honey. If memory serves, 3 pounds of honey is a quart of honey. I don't know why they do it by weight, but they do. Really simple. By focusing on these items, you're locking in prices on the staples that you use, okay? And that's what we're trying to do. You want to get the most bang for your buck while you can. You don't want to panic buy. Nobody's got time for that. You put your community at risk, you put other people at risk. It's not all about you, Cupcake, okay? But you want to make sure that you're good for at least 30 days. So, locking in those prices is going to be imperative to beating the tariff crush. Heavily tariffed imports are going to be a fact of life very shortly here, most likely. I know it's been talked about to the point where your ears want to bleed, but it's just something we have to deal with. This is the burden that we have to bear for the moment, okay? So by leveraging your buying power and buying these staples now at the lower prices before the tariffs kick in, if/when they kick in, then it's making it much more budget friendly moving forward. Because when and if they do kick in, you guys, yeah, it's going to be snug. And it's already snugger, you know? It's a sad state of affairs, my friends, but it is just the burden that we're having to bear right now. And so my goal is to help you navigate these waters and to really figure out how to leverage what you're stocking in your pantry to the best of your ability with the budget that you have. If you have the opportunity and the availability to visit your local food pantries, if you are in a super tight budget, do it. There is no shame in this game. It's called survival, okay? So get there, do your due. If you want to learn more about pantry preparedness, I have this really nifty book that's out now. The link is out down below. It'll walk you through how to stock your pantry. Super, super detailed. and I hope that you will give it a look. And if you want to look at a way to stock your pantry for approximately 40 bucks, check out this video right here. Until next time, everybody, be safe, my friends. Keep stacking it to the rafters.